Hey everyone, it's Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for Call of Duty Modern Warfare. This is the 2019, it's not a remaster, it's not a remake or a reboot. You can kind of call it a brand or even a subtitle brand, sub-brand, whatever, soft reboot. It is a new Modern Warfare story. It is not really entirely directly tied to Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 from back in the day. I'm a big fan of those first two. There is a character that carries over from those three games to this one, which I thought was really great. But we'll get there when we get there. Modern Warfare 1 and 2 are incredible. I've never really been a big fan of 3. I was kind of late to the game on that one, too. I got it on release, and I was never excited about it. I thought it was one of the weaker Call of Duties back then, kind of like Black Ops 2. Even the story wasn't that great. It kind of felt bloated a little bit. Anyway, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 is a new sequel, a newer sequel in the last, 2019 to 20, 21, 22, in the last 4 years, basically. Now, I have not been into gaming as recent in the recent years. I mean, I kind of took a break for a long time, and I missed out on a lot of cool stuff from what I can tell, like the Dark Pictures Anthology, which I just played House of Ashes for the first time. And the Call of Duty series was one of my favorites back in the day. I did not realize all of the bullshit that Infinity War and Treyarch and everybody had pulled on us now. I'm not really sure how many companies are involved anymore. I heard something about Raven and Hammer. I heard all kinds of different people were involved in Call of Duty now. I could be wrong. I'm not going to get too far down that rabbit hole because my information will probably not be correct. Of course, Call of Duty is a very famous war series. It can be futuristic, it can be modern day, it can be past, it can be World War II, it can be Vietnam, it can be so many different things. And I've always wanted to play some of the new Call of Duties and stuff. I just haven't gotten around to them. I wasn't willing to pay $60 left and right. I had a lot of other things I wanted to collect, like Goosebumps and movies and stuff like that. But here I am, for my birthday this year, back in November, I decided to pick up a bunch of Call of Duty games at GameStop with some money my dad and my father-in-law gave me. Now, one of the things I picked up was this game. I had not played it, I hadn't heard anything about it. I remember seeing that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's new release, the sequel directly to this game, was coming out. And so I said, okay, well, I'll go ahead and pick up Part 1. And I was going to pick up Part 2, but then I saw that newer games are $70 now, which I did a fucking rant for on my channel. I couldn't believe that shit. Used copy right here that I picked up was $50 fucking dollars. Now, number one, it wasn't worth it because I'm not playing online. But number two, I also found out that a lot of modern Call of Duties make you get updates. It even says on the front of the box, requires content download just to play the fucking campaign. You have to download the base game. This is the most definitive example I'll ever be able to use about the always-on DRM stuff. That's bullshit. It's exactly one of the reasons I hate Xbox One so much. PS4 doesn't even have this issue as much as Xbox One does. At least on PS4, typically. It kind of varies company to company, but like Call of Duty Cold War, I think is what it was that I picked up for PS4 the same day. I put that in my PS4. I can't play the campaign, but I can play a fucking multiplayer map, well, 2 maps for multiplayer, with bots, which I actually really enjoy, as a matter of fact. That's really fun. But if I want to play the campaign, I have to download a bunch of updates, a bunch of multiplayer packs, Spec Ops packs, all this shit that I don't want. I don't care about that. Why the fuck do you have to download all that just to play campaign? I understand the general idea, the supposed idea from the Call of Duty manufacturing companies, the creators themselves, is to prevent, cheaters and to prevent people cracking the system and making the thing illegal. I understand why they did that, but why the fuck is the campaign being messed with? Why do you have to have internet to play the campaign of a game that you pay $60, now $70 for Call of Duty, one of the most well-known, well-beloved series, no matter what you think about it, no matter what you think about recent entries? You can't argue that Call of Duty is not a massive, massive column within the gaming sphere, the community, the world, whatever. If you're into this form of entertainment and hobby, you have to acknowledge the fact that Call of Duty is very important, for a lot of different reasons, especially back with the original Modern Warfare 2's popularity. Now, I mainly will be talking about the campaign. I didn't play online. Some of the stuff I've seen online is kind of cool, but it is what it is. Online for Call of Duty, for me, has never really been an issue. I'm more of a story-focused guy. That's really what I'm looking for, and the gameplay within that. So when you see reviews of Call of Duty games for me here on the channel, that's mainly what I'll be referring to. But I can already tell I'll be backstepping more and more into old territory. Games that have come and gone, the community doesn't give a shit about anymore. The last Call of Duty I played was Advanced Warfare, or Black Ops 3 on PS3. I'm not really sure which one. PS3 Black Ops 3 didn't have a story. I don't know if the other systems, the PS4 and all that, had it, but PS3's version did not, which was some bullshit, or Xbox version, whichever one I had. It didn't have a story mode, a campaign. So I don't really know what was up with that. I don't know if it was a censor to try to push people to the next console generation. That was some sketchy-ass things from Call of Duty back in those days. But let me tell you this. Being out of the loop for so long, I've seen a lot of things come through. And of course, I have a lot of the newer entries, like Cold War. I have Vanguard that I got last year for Christmas. I still haven't played that, because I didn't have my PS4 here at my house. I had a lot of the newer Call of Duty stuff from this last month, picking it up. There are certain ones I don't own, like World War II, that I could have sworn I had that, but I don't have that. So for me, I'm in it for the action. I'm in it for the military sim type of thing. I love that about Call of Duty. That's my fun interest in Call of Duty. But really the action. It's not really a character thing. The stories are amazing sometimes. Like the first Black Ops, I think, is an amazing story. Black Ops 2 was such a disappointment. I never played 4. 3 I played the online of. That was pretty cool. Advanced Warfare's online and story were both really, really good. I haven't played Infinite Warfare. I'm planning on downloading that right now if I can fucking get it to work. Because again, that's one of those things too, being pre-Modern Warfare 2019, that I couldn't get the shit to download. I was going to play that one first, because I think it's a direct sequel to Advanced Warfare. I tried to download Infinite Warfare, and I could not get the thing to download on Xbox One. I don't know what the problem is. I'm trying to resolve that now. I'm trying it while I'm offline, just to see if the campaign will load on that one. But I could be wrong. From what I'm understanding, campaign is hard to get your hands on unless you have online, which I think is so anti-consumer, it's awful. You should understand, folks, if you're watching this video, if you've been sitting around for 8 minutes hearing me ramble, you need to understand the fact that if you buy this shit and you can't even download the campaign, your disc is literally going to be a coaster one of these days. When those servers are gone, your disc is a coaster. You don't have access to that anymore, which is a massive shame, because I typically love Call of Duty campaigns, and Modern Warfare 2019 was no different from that. Let me go ahead and delve into the actual game itself, the story, the campaign. Essentially, you are following as two different guys, one named Kyle, and then who's a British soldier. By the way, he works directly with Mr. Price. Yes, Price is in this game from the original 3 Modern Warfare games. It's a new actor, and I assume because the game itself looks like it's being shot in mocap, and it's beautiful. The graphics are absolutely gorgeous in this game. It is some of the best looking Call of Duty stuff I've ever seen in my life. I think the models look amazing. I think the graphics are incredible, even down to like when you're in the woods and stuff. Everything about it is so detailed. The lighting is so realistic. The new options to have like night vision goggles where you press down on the directional pad, the D-pad, whatever, and you can put on your night vision goggles, or you press up and you might have like different functions happen with that, like a laser sight and stuff. That stuff is incredible. The night vision is so realistic, it's scary. It's so freaking good. It's probably the best of the entire franchise, bar any of the newer stuff I haven't played. Modern Warfare 2019 is not the most engaging story for like half of the game. It's like a 4-hour campaign. And the campaign is a little bit different than what I'm used to with Call of Duty. I don't know how new some of these features are to this game or exclusive to this game, but they tried a lot of new things to freshen up the game a little bit. And I kind of liked it and I kind of didn't, because some of it was fair, some of it wasn't fair. Some of it I was prepared for, some of it I was not prepared for. Some of it, most of it, was very creative, I would say. Or at least creative for Call of Duty standards. So the game itself, you're kind of hunting for a terrorist called the Wolf. There's a lot of Russian stuff happening here. There's a lot of Middle Eastern stuff. You happen to play as either a fellow named Kyle, who's involved directly with Mr. Price. Price is very heavily in the game. The new actor does a great job of mimicking the voice of the original Price, but also his mocap performance in general is the best of the entire game. He is so good. I love this actor. I love Price. Great character in Call of Duty. One of those ones like Woods that are just freaking awesome. There's really like a reference here in there to soap, which was cool. I really was excited about that. I hope they do more with it in Modern Warfare 2 if they do it. But then you have like, another character you play as named Alex, who gets tied kind of to the Middle Eastern armies there that are trying to defend their homeland from some terrorists called Al-Qatala, I think is what they are. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. But you have him working directly with another girl and her brother named Farah and Haldi, I think is what his name was. I'm really bad with names, especially Middle Eastern names, especially any name that's not a basic American name like Bob. I'm usually pretty bad with names, just so you know. If you're not familiar with me already, if this happens to be the first video you've ever watched from me, that's usually the casual issue with me. The story itself, I don't really have much to tell you from the get-go. It's really just kind of characters interacting, the beautiful cutscenes that are really sucking you in. The gameplay is pretty cool. You have a lot of missions in this game that aren't just, let's go here, shoot these guys, sneak into this cabin, or that kind of thing. No, some of this is stealth. Some of this is kind of horror-focused stuff. You have one particular, or a couple of missions, where you're either crawling through caves, or you're like crawling through a warehouse, and you don't know if somebody's going to jump out at you with your night vision on. There are some incredibly engaging, intense moments in this game. For all the bullshit that I went through with all the download stuff, I have to tell you it was kind of worth it. I mean that. From the bottom of my deep, dark, cold, evil heart, and all of my pessimism and everything else, my bitterness towards the gaming industry, mainly with companies like these and what they're doing with Call of Duty and how complicated it is just to play a fucking story. That still, even when you're playing it, the game's cutscenes lag and shit. And from what I understand, that's the Call of Duty, Warzone tied into this game. Apparently that's part of the issue here, where it caused the thing to, have a bunch of bugs in the cutscenes. The cutscenes look incredible, but most of the time the audio and the vision of it, the actual picture, lag, which is super frustrating. The music in here is really good, by the way, and pretty much every single mission, it's not great, but it's good. It's Call of Duty. It feels like Modern Warfare. The general tone of the story, the general feel to the cutscenes and stuff that are a little bit different, because you actually see the characters you play as. Alex and Kyle, you get to see them interacting in real, like, movie-designed scenes with, like, Price and everybody else. That was really cool. I really liked that as well. Like I said, though, the story is a little bit lame. It's a little bit lame until about halfway through you get an actual twist. And that twist is kind of intrigues me a little bit. And then by the end of the game, they really don't do much with it. Now, I don't know if Modern Warfare 2's new game will. I've heard it's a great campaign. I have. And I hope that whenever I pick it up, whenever I can find it for a really good sale, if I could get it for like $50, I would. But I'm not paying $70. And I won't pay $60 just out of fucking spite now. But this game, brand new, is sitting at like $60. In 4 or 5 years, 3-4 years, somewhere in there, it's went down $10 at like Walmart. At least the last time I looked. And that was before Thanksgiving. This game, from 2019, that you can't even play without an internet download. Now, most of the time when Call of Duties would have the new release, last year's release would cut down like significantly, like $20-$30. Sometimes you'd be paying $30 for last year's game, which was incredible. That was a really cool way to jump on to the Call of Duty games. You can't do that anymore. And if you went to rent from like a Blockbuster or something, you'd be sitting around for like 5 fucking days trying to get the whole thing to download. It's massive amounts of uploads and downloads and shit. After I finished the game, I uninstalled a bunch of stuff, like the multiplayer packs and shit that are required for some reason. The story itself, it ain't great. It ain't great, but by the end of it, I had some good tension that I had went through. I had some moments that were really cool, really unique. Again, there's a lot of stealth stuff in here that I really liked. It wasn't just, this mission we're going to shoot up and blow up this thing or that thing. There's some stuff in here that's just as controversial as the airport shooting from the original Modern Warfare 2, in my opinion. Some stuff that I'm surprised I didn't hear about in, like, the news, even though I don't really pay attention to the news on, typical news media. I look at it online, I hear people on YouTube discuss different things. But I was surprised that I didn't see people freak out the way they did with Modern Warfare 2 back in the day. But I'm trying to think if there was anything else I really wanted to talk about. Let's talk about the gameplay, I guess, a little bit. The gameplay itself, for the most part, is very smooth. I hadn't played an FPS in so long. I'm currently playing Doom 2016 also. I'm trying to complete it from the first time I tried to play it, and I got married and everything else. I just kind of stopped. But this game, for being my first FPS in a very long time, it took me a little while to get used to it again. It felt like the first time back in the day when I started playing Call of Duty for the first time, and I played World at War is what I played for the first time. World at War was my first ever Call of Duty game that I rented and everything. I still love that game. I feel like in a lot of ways this is improved on the new controls, the new different things you can do in the game, the new abilities, again, like night vision, laser sight, all that kind of stuff. I was very impressed with all of that. I thought it added a lot to the game. But I will say this, it's not incredibly different from back then. I didn't expect it to be, but it's just as smooth as Call of Duty has been for like 10 years now, if not closer to 15 years, since I was in high school. All that's really nice. I like that. I just wished that the character writing was stronger. I think Price is well written. I think the blonde-headed woman that your team reports to is very good. I don't know what her name is or what title she has, but she's really good. Farah and her brother, mainly Farah, are well written. The brother is okay. They do some interesting things with him. Kyle and Alex are both kind of lame. It's kind of like when you play Modern Warfare 4 and you're like, well, I can make Soap into a badass when I play for him, or when I play as him, or Simon, or anybody like that. I think you play as Simon. I think it was the name of the guy. But, you always have the mentality of, I can make this person a badass by the things that are scripted in here and how I play each mission, but really, you don't know anything about them. Kyle and Alex, you see their face, you see them in cutscenes, you see them with these characters like Farah, like Price, that you really like a lot. It's not that the performances are bad, it's just they're kind of lame characters. Kyle even more so than Alex, which is kind of a letdown. But I don't play Call of Duty so much for characters. I mean, the good add-ons like Price, or like when you have the really great villains like Makarov or the General, stuff like that's really great. That really helps the experience even more. You're mainly here for action. I think you get quite a bit of that, even though a lot of it is kind of quiet action, quiet tension building into a big action set piece. And I'm going to tell you, I died a lot. I died a lot in this game, which is one of the things I kind of briefly mentioned earlier. I died a lot. There were quite a few times where I genuinely did not understand what the fuck I needed to do, or that I had to wait. There's one particular section involving a bomb, that you had to cut wires on a bomb. And I'm not kidding you, I failed that shit like 15 times because I didn't realize you had to wait for somebody to count down and then say the word cut. And I kept cutting the shit in the order with the colors of the wires that this person told me. And I laughed about it a lot, like out loud, like a maniac in my living room at like 8 a.m. Because it was funny. It was absurd, but it was funny. And as much of a good time as I had with that, I gotta tell you, I got my ass kicked a lot in just the basic, regular setting, like the easy setting basically, for the story here. I got my ass kicked quite a bit. But I had a good time getting my ass kicked, which I think is really what defines a game. Even if you're frustrated, even if you're having a really hard time, and I got frustrated towards the end of the game with some of the bullshit you had to deal with there, involving rocket launchers and snipers and all kinds of bullshit, that it seemed like I just could not hit these people sometimes. That was so frustrating, but I had a good time while I was doing it, which I think accounts for how good the game is overall. And one other thing I really want to hit on too, as a horror fan, as a gore fanatic when it comes to movies and games and books, this is the bloodiest Call of Duty I've seen in a very long time. I believe Advanced Warfare had a little bit of blood to it too, in the story mode I mean. And I believe that Black Ops 1 and World at War had quite a bit of blood. I always felt like the Treyarch game, or Infinity Ward games had less blood than the Treyarch games back in the day. Mainly Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 didn't have that much gore to them. You just had really cool action set pieces that Treyarch didn't really have. And it kind of feels like they reversed things here a little bit. Whoever made this game, I assume it's Infinity Ward, it seems to me like they had a lot more gore in here. Like when you're sniping in this game on the sniping missions, and just if you happen to come across a sniper rifle in a field, I'm telling you right now, you shoot at somebody and their head blows off, there is something powerful about that. If you've ever shot a rifle for the first time in your life, you probably know what I mean by that. Like that powerful feeling that you get from that. It makes you feel good. There's some kind of adrenaline rush that comes with that. And I kind of had a mimic of that in a fucking video game for once, which was crazy to me. Not that I want to, see people get blown up or anything, but the game offers stuff like that, which kind of surprised me. It's very satisfying. It'll make you want to play the campaign again. If you didn't have to go through all the download bullshit, you probably would. I probably would have started it all over again and played it again before I jumped to something new because it's such a short campaign. But overall, even though it's short, it's relatively satisfying, even though it's a little lame sometimes as a storytelling, whatever. There's a lot of stuff in here, like I said, with the stealth and all that I didn't expect to be in a Call of Duty game. I haven't seen anything like that in a Call of Duty game since Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the original one. You didn't really have many let's sneak around missions in the Call of Duties I grew up on, like Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2, any of the ones that I heavily played online. You didn't really have that. Modern Warfare 3, you didn't have that. 2, you didn't have stuff like that usually. Maybe one mission out of like the 13 that tell the story. But overall, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, I think it's worth the money. If you can get this cheap, like used, like I did, not too bad. But if you try to buy it brand new for like $50-$60, you're crazy. That's crazy. I wouldn't do that. But I'm fairly certain, I'm not really sure what I said earlier on in the review, but I'm fairly certain I got this decently priced, like $30-$40, somewhere in there. If I didn't have to go through the frustrating download shit, like I'm trying to do with Infinite Warfare, then I think it would have been worth more to me. But the fact that eventually I won't be able to play any of this is extremely frustrating. My disc will be useless at some point, and that really bothers me a lot, because I'm not going to do digital downloads. I think that's stupid. I think you'd be a maniac to do something like that and trust that to stick around on your system forever, even though I use the Kindle and the Nook to read books a lot of the time. But with all that being said, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 is a good. Yeah, it's actually really solid. I think the gameplay is good, story's a little bit wacky, but it has some good moments, and there's some really good moments for about half the game, which is about 2 hours of a 4-hour campaign, like I said. But overall, do I recommend it? If you're a Call of Duty fan or just an FPS fan in general, yeah. If you're a war fan, yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. If you happen to be a stealth fan for stealth games, check it out. There's some cool stuff in here for this. If you're looking at the story. I don't know about online. I don't think there would be online. How do you do stealth online? But for everybody else who happens to be curious about it, really solid game. Definitely a recommendation for me in most respects. Really impressive. Really impressive. So what did you guys think about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019? I'd love to hear what you have to say down in the comment section down below about this really neat game that I wish I could put the fucking disc in and just play the campaign. I'm very bothered by that. I'm going to go check on my download for Infinite Warfare. I'll see what happens with that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Let me know if this is your favorite Call of Duty or what is your favorite Call of Duty. Do you think Modern Warfare 2's new game is worth the money? I'd love to hear all that down in the comment section down below too. And yeah, is this one of your favorites of recent years? I'd love to hear all that. Eventually I will get around to playing Vanguard and Cold War and World War II and all that. And I'll do some videos on those as well at some point. I think that somebody had announced that Call of Duty is going to stop doing yearly games, which surprised me when I heard that. I think I heard that like 6 months ago. I don't know if it's true or not, but I believe the companies themselves announced that would be the case for this series. And if it is, I'm a little worried about that. I think Modern Warfare 2 is kind of kicking that off, but we'll see. Anyway, that's my review. I'm sorry for it being so rambly, but I wanted to really go in depth because it's been so long since I played a Call of Duty. Really fun time this time around. I'm really glad this is one of the first ones I got to play, even though it was going to be Infinite Warfare. But like I said, we'll see if I can get that campaign to download without all this other bullshit. If you happen to have a fix for how I can get that fucking game that I assume came out before this to download correctly, I would love to hear all that down below too. Anyway, thank you guys so much. God bless you all. Happy New Year, and goodbye.